Hi dear friends! We continue to speak about communication. We have already talked about very many things like what communication is, what skills we need for our effective communication. And today we continue to discuss barriers in communication. Well, these are the things which are very much discussed everywhere. But we'll try to figure out what are the problems, what is going on in our communication, what prevents us from effective communication. And roughly speaking, we may discuss three big groups of barriers in communication. First of all, they are physical barriers. What kind of physical barriers can occur in our communication? Well, let's think about it. Well, first of all, maybe our channels are not good enough for transmitting our message. Well, maybe we are having some extra sounds and we don't hear clearly. Maybe we are having some hearing problems, or maybe we are having some other problems, or maybe we are having some problems to express ourselves freely and our utterance becomes not understandable for our receiver. So, other physical barriers, what can they be? Maybe our channel of communication is really disruptive and very many things. Okay, physical barriers is, I hope, understandable what they are. Well, but if we eliminate physical barriers, what we may have, what then occur? Let's come to psychological barriers. Psychological barriers is something which is really tremendous thing to talk about. What kind of psychological barriers may occur? Well, first of all, imagine that we are all so much different. Yes, we are. And, of course, we are having very different experiences. And imagine that we are having certain things in our background and the person having absolutely different. And when we are coming together, what happens? Of course, it's like a kind of puzzle which may match or unfortunately. So, we are speaking about psychological barriers. Imagine that we are born in completely different cultures. We are born in completely different families and surroundings. And we grew up in different experiences with different people. And it's like a kind of puzzle that we have to match, but it doesn't. And we have to find a way in our communication how to come and to understand each other. Well, okay, going on about psychological barriers. What about attitudes? Well, imagine that we are having some kind of stereotypes. We believe that certain person with certain appearance may have certain features of character. And so what is then? We perceive the person through our filters. We don't see other things. We just perceive what we believe is true and no other things. Okay, let it be attitudinal. We got it. Now, let's continue. It is clear that our stereotypical thinking, our prior beliefs may affect our perception. And now let's speak about other situation. Imagine that we are in a kind of emotional stress, that we are in anger, that we are maybe disturbed or nervous. So, what kind of communication is going to be? How freely we are going to express ourselves and how freely and openly perceive the other person? Of course not. So, what to do then? Well, most probably we have to sit down for a while and maybe to consider our communication, to consider our emotions, and then only to take a step to continue to talk with a person, to solve our things and to solve our problems. We talked about physical barriers, we discussed psychological barriers, we mentioned culture and differences in our background and in our experiences. Now let's speak about language. Imagine that we are speaking foreign language. So, what is happening? We are speaking different words, we are speaking different sentences, and which words we are using, how we are using, all these affects, of course, our communication and our mutual understanding, if, of course, it happens. Do you think there are no problems when we are speaking our own language? Do you think it is going much easier than speaking a foreign language? Of course not. In mother tongue, we may experience the same problems. So again, it is the selection of words, it is the manner of talking, it is the manner how we are conveying our message, how we are expressing our emotions, and how closed we are or how open we are. Well, by the way, speaking about openness or closeness, some people feel much comfortable when they are closed. Some feel much more comfortable when they are open. And when this degree of openness and closeness is not coinciding, it may happen to what? The person who is much more open may consider that that one is so much cold, he doesn't want to speak with me, he may feel hurt, he may feel disturbed, and so on and so forth. At the same time, the person who is much more preserved to himself, he may think, come on, what are you doing? Why you are so disturbing? Why you are so imposing yourself on me and trying to communicate to me? You see? So other things to consider. Well, we mentioned culture, and in culture there can be the other issue. It is the discrepancy in expectations of roles and genders. And imagine that we are expecting certain things from the person to act, to speak, to communicate, but according to his expectations of his role which he is fulfilling, these mustn't be like that. And what happens then? In this discrepancy of expectations, in these discrepancies of beliefs, how should person act in certain role may lead to a conflict again. So what to do then? Again, to sit, to speak, and to discuss openly what is going on, what makes this conflict situation happen. And only in open answer and question dialogue we may find a solution. So to sum up, we talked about physical barriers, we discussed psychological barriers, culture discrepancies, discrepancies in role expectations. We talked about difficulties in language, let it be foreign language or in mother tongue. We covered these things. We were trying to figure out what is going on in our communication and to figure out what prevents us from effective communication. That's why when a problem occurs in communication, don't be that quick in making a judgment. Don't be very fast in making a conclusion about a certain person and about communicating with this person. So maybe take your time and think about things which may prevent, which may make this communication difficult, and then take another step, take another attempt to fix your communication. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it will be helpful for you to understand and to analyze what is going on in your relations and communications, and I hope to see you again during our other videos. See you. Bye-bye.